Yay, yay, welcome everybody to Biosophy. Today we are freezing in the northeast corridor of the country, probably through the Midwest as well, but it's about negative something here in PA. We have a wonderful show for you. My name's Eric Biseca. I'm a naturopath and sort of wannabe shaman, warrior, whatever. Just having a good time here and doing my best, like everybody else, right? On the show today, we have one of my favorite guests who's been on before. Her name is Actualyzer. She is a very sound student of psychology and herbalist and much more than that. She'll be joining us as well. And today we're talking about the science of belief and what really is found as far as our inner truth and what is the difference between what is true and truth. Some of the questions we're going to look at are self-referential questions. What do we believe about ourselves and how does that determine who we are and what we do? We've heard a lot probably about some of this, but we're going to dive in today and take a look at some really profound questions in the way of what we believe and the science of belief. So some things we might attempt to answer are beliefs dangerous? You know, there's people out there that there's a whole school of science out there that believe that feel that having beliefs is not good for us ultimately. Okay, and I'll bring in the duality and say that are beliefs good for us or are they not good for us? Are they natural outgrowths of thought and cognition and experience, or do they allow us to expand our consciousness, or do they sort of hold us back from that in the end, or do they do both evenly, right, equally? So are they dangerous? And of course, some of the important questions, what do I actually believe enough to live by, right? What are things that I believe in, I actually put into practice? That is, I go beyond betting on something and I actually do believe in it. Is it possible that addiction occurs out of a lack of belief in oneself, right? Some things like this. So, we'll be addressing some of these questions today. And the show is what we make it. I encourage you all to chime in at a certain point and let us know what your experiences are and let us know what you feel about these things. We're building discussion, we're building dialogue. The purpose of this show is to allow you to look at yourself, your health, your emotional, social world through a metaphysical lens and make connections with daily life to the metaphysical universe at large, and to see the miracle. My purpose is to help allow myself and you and us to see the small miracles in whatever, just the table that's next to you and the shape of the table, why that bucket is in the corner of your room, why you're wearing a white hat, whatever it is. Okay, so these small miracles are all meaningful, and that's sort of what we look at here on Biosophy. Welcome, Actualizer. How are you today? How are you feeling? Have you gotten over your little throat issue, and what's up?
Oh, so I'm feeling pretty good. As you can hear, I'm still raspy, but I feel fine. It's a little weird thing. I feel like it's just because of the dry air and stuff. And I had like a clumsy moment, so much so I feel like it's easier to just be like, I have a cold, rather than explain how this happened. But ultimately, I'm feeling pretty good today. I'm happy to be on the show, and I'm really excited to talk about beliefs because, like you said, I have a background in psychology, and I feel like people way undergauge how much their beliefs impact everything that happens around them. So I'm excited to talk more
Indeed.
about the topic.
Yeah, you could probably say they're one of the most impactful aspects of our minds, really. You know, what we believe is one of the most impactful aspects, certainly our health. And beginning with what we believe about ourselves and also what we believe about what we're putting in our body. We're going to address that a little bit. So this is something that's really big. when you go online, when you go on Google and you look up books about the brain and beliefs, there's probably about 90 million hits. So, this is everywhere. But that doesn't mean that we understand it fully. This is something, a large landscape here. And I want to start out with a little story, as I do sometimes. And I was thinking about this last night. But then this morning, the story really that I want to tell hit me, and that is a personal life experience. And maybe you all can relate, but it was probably about 2012, 2013. You guys remember when the world was ending in 2012 and everyone was packing up and, ready to head somewhere? But it never happened, but yet it did. Okay, long story there. The Kali Yuga, just sidebar, the Kali Yuga, or the big Iron Age of 400,000 years that we're in right now, technically, folks, ended last year. That is the ancient Vedic calendar that tracked all the huge cycles of time. That dark age, that's called the Kali Yuga, the age of fire, ended in 2025. And it was agreed upon by all the Hindu astrologists and whatnot. So just a sidebar there, the Mayans weren't very far off. They were off maybe 12 years or so, whatever. But so anyway, there's all good things to come. If you think that you can't survive the ice anymore, you can't survive any other form of ice anymore, or anybody else in office, we won't put any names out there. It's coming to an end, folks. And I have not said that. We're going to talk maybe a little bit about that, but this stuff that we're experiencing is really, we're just being pushed through the eye of the needle here. I feel that way. I believe it. And so, anyway, going back to 2012, I had too much sugar in my coffee. In 2012, I was with my stepson and the family that with my ex. I was raising some children with my ex, her children, and it was quite an experience. But she and us and they were kind of getting into aliens. We were getting into like the Anunnaki and, just studying all the ancient alien stuff and the types of beings that are out there. For whatever reason, we were really into the esoteric stuff at that time. And even my son, who was about 9 at the time, 9 or 10, and he just we watched movies about aliens. Within a couple of months, for the first time in my life, we had an encounter with about 12, I'm not going to say about, but there were 12 ships that appeared on the hillside one night when we came home. And we were stunned. We just sat there outside of the car, me and my son and his friend, and I watched these 12 ships, and they literally darted away and disappeared one by one. They were formed in a triangle. And it was verified because the boy, I had him in his journal that night. His friend was terrified, by the way. We never saw his friend again after that. But I still have the diary where he describes it. And then a week after that, he came running into the house up to my room crying that a ship actually came over the back of our alley where we were living. And so, anyway, the point being was that before that, I had never had encounters with any extraterrestrial forces or ships or anything like that. But we had been studying it, talking about it, finding interest in it, and they appeared. Mm-hmm. And I can say it with all honesty that it happened. And it's I think a great place to start with all this, because we remember that the universe is holographic, right? Whatever we see, we're looking within. Whatever we see on the outside. And so I think this is a great place to start with beliefs and just how powerful they are. And of course, our actions. On a more mundane level, we could have two people in a room, right? One is just terrified of dogs. She's gotten bit by dogs all of her life. She can't stand them. They trigger a trauma response. Another one just loves dogs. I mean, has so many dogs, and she puts sweaters on her dog. She can't wait to kiss the next dog. You bring the dog into the room, and we have two total different responses from two individuals with the same dog, right? Again, the power of belief, the power of suggestion, the power of accepting or rejecting something based on what we believe. Does anyone have anything else that comes to mind when any stories like that about belief? Anyone want to share out before we get rolling here? Or any comments on that?
So I don't have any alien stories, but I feel like just in that same vein of like perception in general, um, colorblind people, colorblind people. So I know it's like, how does that relate at all? But there was one time I was hanging out with a friend, and he points to a picture in his house, and he was saying that his friend painted it for him, and he loved how like the buildings were orange in the picture. And I'm like, wait, which one? Because there was a couple paintings there, and the one with the buildings, it was green. It was green. And like that whole time up until then, I never knew that he was colorblind. And I felt like it was just such an example of like how we see reality as like something that's objective. We really believe that what we see is what everybody sees. Yeah. How we predict other people's behavior, interpret their behavior, is always like on a basis of things that we have encountered, things that we have seen, things that we know. And it's like on a literal like biological level, like we're not all living in the same world. Because it's like how I'm looking around my room and I'm saying a full spectrum of colors, there is a percentage of the population who is just literally not seeing what the rest of us see. So I feel like I can be honest when I say I've never seen aliens. And a lot of time when I hear people say that they've seen aliens, I'm kind of like, oh no, let's like how's this person up there? But it's like over time having like my own little things where it's like I'm looking at the sky and I'm like, those lights are moving at an interesting rate. Like I don't know what's through those clouds right now. I have had like, okay, so I take it back. I have maybe had an alien encounter. And I feel like this is kind of like perfect for our discussion here because it's a thing of beliefs. I maybe not to the same degree that you do. I believe in aliens, but I don't immediately like believe that they interact and engage with us. But I'm definitely open to it. I'm open to it. I don't think that you would come on here and make up a story. I don't think that like you went and like mimicked your son's handwriting in his notebook and like journaled this account. So it's like I believe you. So now my beliefs about you are able to expand my beliefs about like the topic in general. And it's even in a way that's like able to alter memories because it's like I feel like in the past I was more closed-minded about the concept than now. Now at this point I'm like anything kind of goes. I'm not confident in anything being real or fake. So it's like even me updating my beliefs in the present can honestly like amend my experience of reality in the past because it's like there's things that it's like I never saw a plane move that fast. I never saw plane lights that big. But back then I'm like, oh yeah, that's a plane up there. Yeah. Right now I'm like, maybe I need to alter my beliefs and be a little more real, like that's a little different than a plane looks.
I love the retroactive approach there. It's true. It's like, okay, our beliefs change about something, then we look back and say, wow, maybe what I saw really wasn't what I thought I saw.
Exactly.
Anybody else? Awesome. I love it. Anybody else with a similar experience or something they want to add?
Yes, I would like to share an experience I had many years ago. And also too, from my understanding, and a person may disagree or see it differently, that's fine. But a lot of our beliefs are based on experiences and how we process those experiences. So I had an experience many years ago, I would say at least 20, 25, 30 years ago. I'm not even going to put a date on it in terms of of aliens, because many times our perception of aliens is what we have been given based on Hollywood, spaceships, and things like that. But what happened with me was that I was in a crowd, and I was walking in one direction, and a crowd of people were walking in the opposite direction. And as I passed this crowd, it felt funny. It felt weird. So I turned around and I looked to see what was going on. And one of the beings, and I'll call it a being, turned around, looked at me, and had I'm trying to give you an analogy, more like
like an aura?
No, it had the body of an amphibian, like a frog or something like that, and it smiled at me, and I'm like, what? And then I turned around, and because I'm processing this, and I'm like, wow. And then I turned back around, and it represented itself in the human image.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay. So and I was grateful for that experience, because it helped me to understand how much of our experiences or understanding or beliefs is based on other sources, especially Hollywood and movies and things. And that alien being could have attacked me, but it didn't. It just presented itself in its true form so that I would see it. And then when I was like, oh my goodness, really? And then I looked at it again, it went back and presented itself in its human form. So there could be very well many humans that are presenting themselves in a human form, but are from a different planet, species, and we have to keep in mind that we ain't the only ones out here.
Hey, well, I'm glad I'm not the only one discrediting myself as a doctor right now. So thanks, Doc. I'm glad we're both going down.
It's a safe space.
No, yeah, absolutely. Awesome story. Alien stories are great. I mean, you can't beat them. Shape-shifting, all of it. I mean, we're all in. Let's face it. Frequencies are a big part of this, and the frequency that we're existing in, and the many that are within our aura are attracting different things, and those things are not often seen by others. Period.
And I feel like that speaks to how our beliefs affect our frequency and our vibration. Going from kind of Christian perspective, I say that God knows how he made me, and God knows that I am a scaredy cat. And I feel like in addition to God, maybe the amphibian people who walk among us also can sense my vibration. Because there's certain people who I know who are nerves of steel type people, and they are the type that they have visions, they astral travel, they hear things, literally hear it. And I feel like that's only possible if first you believe yourself to be a person who is capable of experiencing those things and not losing your mind. And I feel like whatever higher intelligences that are out there, I feel like they are able to sense and discern that. Because I know if I was in Dr. Ali's position and that amphibian unveiled itself to me, I would like scream, cry, poop my pants, heart attack, stroke, like anything that could have happened, it would have happened. I would have been the same person after that. So I feel like it's definitely like how we are and our beliefs emit a certain vibration that like lets people know like green light, like let me unveil this, versus like red light, she's gonna die on the spot if she sees this.
Exactly, and fear plays a lot into it, because for that being to reveal its true self, there had to have been something that it picked up from me that involved whether I would be afraid or not or whatever. So, you know, whether others saw it, I don't know. But I know what I saw, and I will remember that for as long as I'm here.
Dr. Ali, I've never heard you tell a lie, so I know. I'm sure it was. Can you imagine? I mean, look at our beliefs about. Well, we talked about animals, you know, and when we walk into a room, an animal knows right away how we feel. When a bee comes up and lands on us, it knows right away, you know, how we feel about it, and then therefore responds to us. So, yeah. Speaking of, something that just the boldness of belief. We talk about our experiences molding our perception. You know, that's something that's pretty easy to grasp. You know, what we believe is then eventually what we see in front of us, or what we believe is what we smell, or what we believe is what we touch. But we have to believe it first. But how about those times when we do something that's truly unique and magnificent, and nobody, including maybe, well, let's just say nobody around us believed that you could actually do something like this, right? Where does that power come from, that superhuman power that we have that defies the mass of belief around us, or the, let's say, the limitations of the social norms of beliefs around us, and just redefines reality, you know? I'm so fascinated with that aspect of beliefs. We talk about somebody like Wim Hof. I think I've mentioned him before on the show. I looked him up last night. He swam. He took one breath. Now this guy, he's about 58 years old. He's been practicing and training probably for this for a long time, but no one had ever done anything close to this. He jumped ice water in the ocean. I think it was river or ocean. It was a natural body of water, and next thing you know, dove under the ice and swam for 188 feet with no way of getting above the ice. So he couldn't cheat. He couldn't I think he had put it at 180 feet, which is half of a football field. 180 feet, whatever that is. But then he swam about 8 feet after, and then came up. So no wetsuit, you know, nothing like that. But these types of feats where, and you could probably, you know, you could find a lot of these type of similar feats where we do something that is just phenomenal and changes people's beliefs about what can be done. You know, Wim Hof goes on also. He gets injected. He has this sort of audience and crew of people that follow him and follow his practice, but they'll inject themselves with certain viruses and bacteria and ailments, and they'll use this certain breath of the immune system, and they'll overcome it, you know. So just to kind of plant the seed later, we'll talk about these self-referential beliefs, but I want to kind of go into the brain right now. And I know sometimes maybe the responses of people, who cares about where it is in the brain? But there's always something. Every time I go into the brain to sort of study that aspect, the neuroscience of something, there's always something that's really interesting. And I wanted to bring up with, as far as where beliefs come from and where they're housed in the brain, I think a lot of it is very rudimentary and makes sense. But of the three parts of the brain, all of them are found to be active when it comes down to people acting on their beliefs. Every part of the brain is active in forming and housing our beliefs. And so, you know, you hear of language being in the left hemisphere, or, you know, these certain parts of the brain that are active when certain activities occur. But the whole brain is involved when it comes to beliefs. And that includes the prefrontal cortex, which is something that, meditation and stillness and whatnot is expands with the gray matter and the white matter. But anyway, there's something called the DMN, which I wasn't too familiar with. I heard of it as a default mode network, which is a whole network in the prefrontal cortex, but it's mainly in the left hemisphere. So don't forget, we have the right and the left. The left is where language, sort of more linear thinking, organization occurs, algorithmic reason, that sort of thing. So this is in our beliefs are really wired heavily in the left brain. And that in that area also involves a lot of future planning. When we're planning for the future or thinking about the past, this is where that takes place. So beliefs are really tied to our future planning and our past, which makes sense, right? Now, let's take it a step further. Someone like myself and some of you others who are really into sattvic practices, breathing, yogic science, and we think about the importance of being still and being present, right? What is that? That is when we're not thinking about the future, when we're not thinking about the past. We're in the now, right? And this is when where the neocortex is active. And that part of the brain really emerges separate from the part that is active with our beliefs. So that herein begs the question, are beliefs good to have? What really are they, and are they good to have, even if they allow us to swim 188 feet under the ice? Are they something that we want to strive for? Do we want to activate that part of the brain, that DMN system, right? So getting into that.
For the people who don't know, the DMN is the default mode network. The default mode network is basically like where you are. That's where like the self is conceptualized and like built up. That's where your identity lies. That's kind of like where it's the part of your brain that makes your circumstances feel real. And it sometimes is the part of the brain that also like traps you in circumstances. It's the part of the brain that keeps like your eyes really glued to the screen of what you think your life is. And that's why like I remember I was listening to like this account of this lady who had a stroke, and like it was on the left side of her brain. So it's like all that action was like totally disrupted. And she described how like it was like 1 second she's going to the phone to call 911. By the time she grabbed the phone and got to the phone, the numbers weren't even numbers. She said she had to match up symbols on a business card that was next to the phone to try and call somebody for help. So it's like we treat the reality that we see as like so real, so undebatable. But it's like when part of your brain goes down, that objective reality that you think you're seeing completely like deconstructs all of the constructs that you know and depend on for like a sense of orientation and just knowing what the heck is going on. It can be affected just like that. But yeah, I just wanted to give abbreviation was.
Folks, this is why I have psychology people on the line, what we needed. Very important aspect of the brain there, very important network, the DMN, default mode network. I appreciate that. So, yeah, there's a lot to be said. I'm not a neuroscientist, certainly, but I think that there's a lot going on in the brain, and like you said, Actualyzer, kind of highlights the whole idea of being present and constructing a reality around us. And how that reality that we construct around us also constructs who we are, our identity. Who am I, right? And all of this happening around me. Who am I, right? What is this entity that I'm in, and who am I what role do I play in all of this, And so there's some separation there. And the brain, of course, is such a mystery still on so many levels. Well, Henry Ford said, whether you believe you can do it or you can't, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, this is kind of leads us to that energetic place. We could study the brain, but looking energetically at belief and looking at the chakras, where does that all start? Right? Because we start with our feelings of stability, our feelings of being connected and having purpose here on the earth, and then we move up into the sacrum with our creativity, the expression of our uniqueness. And then we move into this area called the solar plexus, which is our inner sun, right? This is our unique, this is where we kind of emerge. The ego is born in the solar plexus energetically. And one would say that this also is probably where the seedlings of belief come from outside of the brain. Okay, because we know in science and psychology that the brain is in the head, but the mind is all over the body, right? The mind is everywhere. It's in the auric fields, it's in the chakras. So the ego emerges from the solar plexus, and a important aspect of our mind is that ego, that's in the solar plexus. It's our feeling of, hey, can I be somebody in this world? Can I do something and have confidence in myself? Do I have the capacity, the self-efficacy to do something in this life? And then we move up into the heart. And this, I find, is a crucial separation, because then our belief, our self-referential belief, or our belief in our religion, or our belief in this or that, turns into something more solidified. Because now we're leaving the ego and we're going into a place of intuition, right? The heart is the core of who we are. We can never deny what's in our heart. That's how we get sick, right? We can do it, but we're going to find ourselves in a puddle there. So the self emerges from the heart and the intuition. And I'm one of the reasons why I wanted to put this show on today is because I've been talking with so many people, and so many people throw that at me. I believe this, I believe in that. And so I've been asking myself, what is this belief thing? And so I think one of the points I wanted to push home, and I want to get some response if there's any, is that to believe something, believe or live. We are human beings, right? Living. So we believe something, that means it has to exist in our heart. Would you agree, Actualyzer? I mean, it might be born in the ego. It might be born in the solar plexus, where we're like, I'm right, and I'm going to bet that I'm right. But ultimately, to truly be called a belief that we're going to have conviction and maybe even be willing to die for type of thing, it has to exist in that heart center.
I feel like I agree, but I also feel like you have me kind of thinking, like, because what you were saying before about like how the ego's in the solar plexus, but like life really comes to life in the heart chakra. I feel like good constructive beliefs that are really livable and breathe life into other people come from the heart. But I do think that people are able to formulate beliefs from those lower chakras. Like, for example, people who struggle with, like, trauma, lack of self-love, lack of self-respect, I feel like those are things that kind of, like, indicate an out of balance or a blocked heart chakra. And I feel like that can manifest from faulty beliefs formulated before we reach the heart, when we're still in the solar plexus, when we have like traumas that are stored in like the root and the sacral chakras that prevent like that self-actualization. I feel like harmful beliefs can come from those lower chakras when they're not regulated or well balanced out with those other aspects. So I kind of feel like this looped us back around to the question of like the goodness or badness of beliefs. So I want to know, what do you think? How do you feel? Do you feel like beliefs are good or bad? Do you think that it can be put on one side or the other? What do you think?
I'm going to say that in our social world,
Mm-hmm.
Let's just talk about our society, our social world, our family, our school. I think that beliefs are overrated.
Mm.
And I think they're becoming more and more detrimental. And that doesn't mean to say that all of them are, but I think that they can be detrimental because what they're doing is they are creating final judgments about things.
Mm-hmm.
And when things are judged, I think our egos, especially in our modern culture, are so big, right? We have so many inflated egos. I mean, we're narcissists to a certain extent, right? That that same degree is it parallels our beliefs. Our beliefs are inflated about things as well. So all the way to the point where we know that the Chargers are going to win the Super Bowl, right? Or we know that this and that. We know our religion is right. We're willing to talk about it and look somebody in the face and say they need to believe in this. So I think that at this point in our social world and our society that we need to really re-examine our beliefs and how they influence the people around us in our social world and how they constrict and inhibit relationships with others. Because when our beliefs are so strong and we bring all of those beliefs about the world into a single relationship, what chance does that relationship have to survive if the other person is the same? Right? Because you're going to be butting heads with that person because your beliefs have left you non-malleable. So I would argue that side. I love the Wim Hof type, belief thing where you can believe in yourself and that self-referential belief. I'm all about it. But when we turn to the social world and our guiding perceptions of the social world, those beliefs, I think we need to flush a lot of them and start fresh.
I totally agree. Because, I remember in our prior discussion before the show, I feel like what you're talking about, like when you say, self-referential, let me sit on this chair. I'm, knocking stuff around. But when you say, the self-referential beliefs versus, the other beliefs, we were talking about how people will use the word belief on things that it's this is not for you to believe in or not believe in.
Thank you.
When people are I don't believe in, being gay. Belief doesn't have room in this situation. It's something that just exists. And people have, beliefs around, how people should or shouldn't live their lives. It's again, this is an autonomous living individual. You can't believe a person out of existence or believe one into existence. I feel like beliefs have definitely been taken out of their rightful place. People are not allowing beliefs to live in their purpose like they could. I definitely think that beliefs can be good or bad. I feel like beliefs are tools. I feel like beliefs are vehicles. And people are trying to weaponize beliefs. People are trying to make beliefs be something different. So I feel like that kind of relates to how you said you feel like it's overrated. Because it's the phrase I believe has almost become an egotistical armor.
Yeah.
People have beliefs kind of I would dare to say people wear beliefs as symbols of status sometimes, whether that's class status, whether that's intellectual status. People will share what they believe in a way where they're looking you guys heard me?
Right.
I believe in equal rights for all. Did you guys catch that? A lot of people are believing for clout. People aren't believing to find a way of life to remember who they are. It's just being used as an ego tool to flex certain muscles almost.
Awesome point. A projection of the ego. It really is. It's getting to that. What's true for me is important and therefore true for everyone type of thing, right? And we find that I think it would be better if it would be more apt if people say, I would bet on this instead of believe this. Because we said that belief is something that is in a profound place in the brain. It's in a profound place in the heart. And we throw the word around without realizing that believing means living it. Okay, if you're willing to bet on the Chargers, would you be willing to lose and go be thrown into the circus with the Lions if you lost? Right? Okay, how much do you really believe it? I remember my at IUP, my professor Thibodeau, he was awesome. New York, he shut down the lights. It was a 6 to 9 Monday night class, and he would point the first lecture. He pointed at the crowd at all of us and says, "You call yourselves Christians. Christians were fed to the lions," and it was that was the way he started the lecture. Like he was just a wild man. He didn't care. But it really allowed us to think about our identity and those bets that we make. And I think to the next point, Actualyzer, we're going to take a little brief moment here, and I'd like to do a meditation, and I want to come back to the words true and truth and the difference between these words. But let's meditate on it, and let's sort of go inward for a second. And I had meant to do this earlier in the show, but I always like to do it on Biseca because the self-awareness piece is really important. And let's just take a moment, everybody, a collective moment for all of you on the line, and just become aware of the breath. If you can straighten out the spine. A moment with the self is never a wasted moment. Just become conscious of the breath. Bring it down and slow it down. Bring it down to the navel. And just release anything that you're holding on to that you don't want to carry forth in the day. Release any emotions, anything that's stuck. Anything that's stuck in the belly or anything that's stuck in the brain. Allow the breath to energetically remove that which you don't want to carry forth today. Anything that's bothering you. Remembering how powerful the mind is and how more powerful the self is. When we activate the breath, we activate the self. And when we become conscious of the breath, the self guides the mind. And while you're in this place, maybe reflect on something that you've done very well in the last day or two, something that you really navigated and you did a good job. Give yourself some credit. And allow you to see your own ability. Allow yourself to see that ability that you just proven to yourself. I can get up in the cold and go to work. I can dust myself off and push through the discomfort. Or I know how to rest when it's time to rest. Give yourself some credit. And let's form a new belief about ourselves and recognize something that we're capable of moving forward. I want to thank everybody for being on the show today. I'm having a good time. I want to thank you, Actualyzer, Dr. Ali, and anyone else who joined us today. I guess a belief in gratitude and a source of all of this is a great place to start. And it's something that you feel in the heart.
May I make a comment?
I would certainly invite you to. Thank you, Doc.
Okay. Many times our beliefs are based on receiving approval from other people that we believe are better than us. And we want their approval, so therefore we believe as they believe, when in actuality it really should, at least I believe,
Mm-hmm.
that it should really boil down to self-love. And many times people have a problem with self-love because they think it's selfish, and that's not it.
Yeah.
Self-love is knowing that you are a work in progress, that I am a work in progress, but I love who I am, what I'm becoming, and that it's not fixed, it's continually evolving and growing. And I will have the experiences necessary to help and evolve and grow my beliefs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're very self-referential thought there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
very,
agree. And oh,
Mhm.
something that I heard before that like never left me is that our beliefs create our experiences, and our experiences confirm our beliefs, and that
Mhm.
just continues on and on and on.
Yeah.
A lot
I,
of the time when we're in a situation, um, we see we're seeing the effects. The beliefs are the cause, and the experiences are the effects.
mm.
And you can't. And I kind of picked up this thinking from YouTuber I love, Neuro Knowledge. I always talk about it. Check out Neuro Knowledge on YouTube. He always says, like, you are trying to change an effect by changing an effect. You change the effect by changing the cause. You always go to the cause before the effect. We'll
Mm.
be in a place in life that we hate. We will be experiencing things that suck. And we will be trying to fix it in the situation. Like, for example, like, say at
Mm.
work you have, like, a coworker that gets on your nerve, or maybe some workplace bullying happening. And, like, most people, they will try and, like, go tit for tat with the person. Or they'll, like, go, and I'm not saying if you're getting bullied, go to HR, do that. But a lot of time, like, people will put all of their, like, ability to be saved. They look outside themselves for saving when what really could help that situation is changing your thinking, changing your response to it. When
Mm.
you put the responsibility of fixing how you feel on the situation, you put your power outside of yourself.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
have so much power because you always have the ability to control your response to a situation. You
Mhm.
have influence over what thoughts automatically populate your brain in response to a certain stimuli. You
Mhm.
have the ability to change that by changing your beliefs. If
Yeah.
you want your experiences to change,
Mhm.
understand that, like, your beliefs are a major cause in that.
Yeah.
I used to be a person that, like, took things personally, that people said. I used to be, like, ready to argue. I used to be, like, fully playing the role of, like, reactive girl. But then I started to really change who I believed myself to be. And when you really believe that you are above that stuff, you'd be surprised how, like, the instances stop arising.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It
Mhm.
literally will stop happening.
Mhm.
It's like you'll be waiting for those moments to be above it, but it's like your vibration already said you're above it. It's not even coming to you anymore.
Mhm.
If you want to see real change in your life, you have to change your beliefs.
Yeah. And which takes a great degree of self-awareness, right?
Mhm.
Like you said, with the effects. All right, I'm going to work every day and I'm getting pissed by these things consistently. Instead of getting pissed and complaining about them and dwelling on, why, um, the dwelling on the details of them, looking at maybe why this person is made. Why is this person, not why are they doing this, but why am I feeling this way because they're doing this?
Mhm.
Right? What can I change about this? I can't change the fact that they're doing this unless I take the back door first of looking at myself.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love
Yes,
that.
that's where your power lies.
Right.
Don't ever give away your power. It's yours.
Yeah.
You have the access to do this. And if you're looking back at, like, all the times you got pulled out of character and you're mad about that, Don't look back in sorrow, look forward and just be happy because you know you're not going for that anymore. You know you're not accepting that again.
And I'm glad it's a great segue into this self-fulfilling thing prophecy that I wanted to sort of hone in on for the last 10 minutes here, where let's take a look at our diets, right, and what we eat. People, let's say, I believe that rice is good for me. I've been eating it 30 years or all my life, and white rice is good for me. I've read it, I've experienced it, whatever. I don't think it's harming me. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but that's my belief, right? If that we have what's called the placebo effect and the nocebo effect. The nocebo is negative things that we hold that, when we believe something's bad for us, it is causing problems. When we believe it's good for us, it's good for us. Well, Jack Schwartz did some work on that and found that the body can biochemically adapt to digest and metabolize 75 to 90% of food, no matter what it is, as long as it's eaten without judgment and felt as valuable. Okay? So I'll read that again so that you guys, this is huge, right? All of us that are like, should I eat this? Should I eat that? Oh, I got to change what I eat. Oh, well, I need a nutrition plan. He found that the body can biochemically adapt. That is, the body will figure out a way to make the chemicals to digest and metabolize 75 to 90% of anything that's put in it, as long as it's eaten without judgment and it's felt as valuable. So, coming back to white rice, you go on YouTube, 10 guys say that white rice is bad, 10 women say that it's good. Who do I believe here? It doesn't matter. It matters how you feel while you're eating it, right?
That's so true. And I have personally experienced it, and that's the reason why, regardless of what I'm eating, I always look up the benefits of what I'm eating. And I'm telling you, it feels like it'll be something subtle, like over time, like it'll help like reduce inflammation. But when I read what that benefit is as I'm eating it, it'll feel like my bones instantly got rid of the inflammation. Like when you really try and receive the benefits, when you're conscious and you're looking out for it, it really happens. And that's why also something that I encounter a lot when I'm like working at my grandmother's store. We'll be telling people like, hey, like eat some fruits. And they like hugely fixate on like where to get the fruit from. The food is GMO. Even the fruits are bad. I'm like, look, buddy, I know you have this idea of me as like this holier than thou health girl, but like if I'm at the corner store and I see some pineapple, I'm going to just grab it and I'm going to eat it because I feel like anything I put in my body with intention for healing is going to heal me. If I sit there anxious over if this is a GMO pineapple, my body's not even going to digest it because it's a science fact that I always say. But blood flow is reduced 4 times over to your small intestine when your body is in a state of stress. So you turn this pineapple into nothing. Your body just rushed it along because you're not even getting circulation to your small intestine, which extracts the nutrients. So
I think it's a great habit, just looking up what's good for you about this food. Go further.
And this is like another like silly story. Rachel is in here. One time when I was over her house, we're both lactose intolerant. She saw me picking out one time. I got this like chocolate chip raspberry ice cream and some brownies, and I was heating up the brownies and I was throwing the ice cream, and I literally ate like 3 of those back to back because it was so good. I did not have my Lactaid. And I remember I said to her, she's looking at me like, girl, you're going to be done for. And I was like, this tastes so good for me right now that it doesn't even feel like it could do any harm to me. And my stomach didn't hurt.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I don't know if it was the type of ice cream maybe, but my stomach did not bother me, and that is usually not the case because I am lactose intolerant. Yeah. But it was just like, it was so good. I was with my friends. I was like in a flow state that it was like lactose who.
Oh, awesome example. Awesome. It was an emotional need that was fulfilled, and I think a lot of people can relate. But I think the final question that also segues to is that is there a difference between what is true and truth? And I wanted to, and I know I brought this up to you, Actualyzer, and you're probably like, why does he keep bringing, what is this that he's talking about here? But
No, it started clicking.
I think now I can explain it now that we touched on these other areas, but I think that beliefs are true, right? Our beliefs are true, like what you just said. My belief about rice, it's true. I have a conviction for it. It has defined my perception, and then therefore it creates my reality.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore it's true, and that's a powerful thing. All of us carry the facts of our lives wherever we go, and that forms our reality. But truth in itself is something that's much larger.
Mm-hmm.
And I think beyond our perception, truth is where Allison's Actualyzer, Dr. Ali, anyone else's perception and their experiences mesh with mine under the same umbrella. I'll give you an example. We're walking on the earth. We look at where we're walking. It's flat. That's true, right? We're walking on the flat earth. But the truth is that the earth is round. It's a sphere, right? We're not experiencing that truth because we're not in that total collective place, right? We could say, I believe that next month it's going to get warmer. I believe that you need to be on time. I believe in keeping a good schedule. I believe in all these things. I'm a very timely person. That's true. We know that next week will be February. That's true. Undeniable fact in our world. But the truth is that time doesn't exist. Right? So I think that in the end here, we have to be humbled enough, and I think you and I both drove this home, that our beliefs are small, little, even though they're true for us, that's great. But we have to watch how we project them. And I think projecting them inward is healthy, but projecting them outward is sometimes a little dangerous because there is a greater truth no matter what you believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to add on to that, I have two add-ons.
Please.
So it was like when you first said true versus truth, I was like, but when you explain true versus truth, I was like, he's cooking. I know what you're talking about. Because I was reading this book before, and it's like, I guess it makes sense, but I'd never known this before I read this, that certainty is an emotion. Certainty is an emotion. It's a sense. You feel certain. Certainty is an emotion.
Yes.
So, yeah, exactly. And I also read another book. The first book, I think it was like How We Change or like Causing Change. It was a book about like how minds change. But this next book is The Voice of Knowledge by Don Miguel Ruiz. And it says that humans are incapable of telling the truth, even an honest person. And that is because objective truth is so pure, so truth, it just is. The minute that a person goes to describe something, the minute a person tries to share something, even though they're telling the truth, they're incapable of conveying truth because it has to pass through that filter of your brain, that same brain that told my friend the painting was orange and me it was green.
Yes.
We were both, what we were saying was true, but we're incapable as humans of sharing truth.
That's
So
awesome.
as such, understand that literally everything at a certain level is kind of just a belief. And I think you're so right that beliefs, they have like a beautiful alchemizing capability when turned inward. But when projected outward, you're creating war. I think you should share your beliefs. But the issue and why most people are not able to have a conversation, they go in with an agenda to make their beliefs the other person's beliefs. Whenever I have an argument, even if I'm on totally opposite sides, my goal is always to gather data and then see if their data is strong enough to change my belief. And my goal when sharing with another person is give them enough data so that I know after this conversation, anything they will believe is based on like information as an informed opinion.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, I think that our audience got a nice dose of information today, and hopefully some things that they can examine. Just a last bit of encouragement for you all. There's a way that you can actually activate your inner beliefs more through diary and writing down the self-fulfilling prophecy moments and how to build up your self-fulfilling prophecy. In a daily log, you start out every sentence with, look at the way I blank. Look at the way I did this today. And look at the way I did that. And so this, over time, allows us to not only forgive and accept ourselves, but to rewire the brain and create the dopamine that we need that pushes us towards our own feelings of success and confidence. So you can actually practice, look at the way I do this, look at the way I do that, instead of saying, oh, God, I can't do this, I can't do. We turn that around. You were saying earlier, turning around, looking at the cause, and start building.
I have an add-on. I know we got to go.
We're going to finish. Go ahead. Put the icing.
I saw a video with this girl, and it's about doing affirmations and kind of like the look at how I prompt that you gave. She said instead of doing affirmations like I am lovable, I am great, she said ask the question, why am I so lovable? Why am I so great? Why am I so capable? And what this does, our brain is always seeking answers, seeking solutions, seeking information. When you put it as a question, your brain will shift into a mode that now it's gathering data to support why you're so lovable, why you're so great, and why you're so capable.
I need to write that one down. Period. That's we'll edit that every day. We will edit. That's plenty. We'll see you guys in yes, just finishing up here. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. We'll be on again. We have I believe Just Joyce is on at 4 p.m. today. And so we want to welcome her. And Forrest, did you want to give any final comments?
Oh, no. I was saying me too, because that was Your Highness, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that information. I'm gonna put that in my head and why am I? That's beautiful, Your Highness. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I wish I had the YouTube lady I got it from, but it was a good one.
Well, you spreading something I was probably didn't notice or see or hear, so that's good, Your Highness. Appreciate you and Dr.
Very
appreciate you.
Very practical.
Huh?
Very practical thing we could do.